Comic News, episode 133. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host and fantasy football champion, Mike.
Undefeated so far. Gonna be a second week in a row. Unlike last year, I think I was like 7 losses in a row. So
I think you're a Bills fan. Week 2 and you're already going to the championship.
I know, right? Oh man. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, though.
Shots fired on all the locals.
There's like, I might be like winning by the skin of my teeth, but there's like a couple guys in the fantasy league that like people are averaging like maybe 150 points and they're just like breaking 200. And it's like, I might be looking good now, but I'm going to have to go up against them. And there's a big divide. There's no like, it's not really a tight race in our league.
So I ran into a guy today and he was wearing a Patriots sweatshirt. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him and I said, no, I got to tell you, I hate the Patriots with all my heart, but that is a fantastic sweatshirt. And now the sweatshirt was the Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet from Endgame. Mm-hmm. That was red, white, and blue. It had the number 12 on it. And then it had the 6 rings in each slot.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
Wow.
Except for the fact that, fuck the Patriots. That's right, all the New Englanders out there.
Man, there goes half of our fan base, just like that.
I know, we're really popular in the Northeast, and now I'm just screwing it all up.
The whole fan base gone. Yeah, so it's Football Sunday. No interview today, just going to talk about stuff and things.
Jam-packed show.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't even know this thing about super dinosaurs, so I'm really excited about that. Yeah, and Preacher's on tonight. We're nearing the end here. I think a few more episodes left. And that's it. It's kaput.
It's been really good so far. I'm completely caught up too.
Yeah, we got to see what happened after he dies, right, in the last episode. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He basically, they offer him the big spot up in the sky. They're like, hey, do you want to be God? And he's like, no. He's like, I don't want to do that. Which, I mean, it's true to his character. He probably wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, and I like how they got around, like circled back around to season 1, showed us why God disappeared. And also in the past couple episodes, we got to see the demon and the angel that created Genesis. So It's just been a really great season so far. And the one issue I had with it has been resolved and we've moved on from it, so I'm just enjoying it now.
Yeah, it's been really good. It got really dark with the whole him on the raft with the pilot and him dying and stuff. That was pretty sad. And like the moment of like, yeah, see, you can't answer everybody's prayers all the time and all that stuff. It's like,
yeah, and now what Tulip and Jesse are doing, or not Jesse, Cassidy are doing, like back in New York and trying to find Humperdew, and they find him and their whole plan with him. Like Tulip has definitely gone off the deep end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And is just looking for revenge, knowing that the end of the world is coming. Mm-hmm. I'm actually really excited to go back once the season's done and rewatch the entire series. And really like capture it all in binge style.
Yeah, it's definitely a bingeable show for sure. All right, new Watchmen trailer. Holy crap! They pretty much gave you the whole season. It looked like, or at least I don't know if that's just the whole first episode, but a little more of not a whole lot of Ozymandias. Just one shot of Jeremy Irons. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
We meet a couple new characters. There's like a new version of Rorschach, that like hillbilly guy. He wears like a reflective mask that they use to interrogate terrorists or something. Really weird. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what this show is.
Yeah, it's some characters we've never seen before, and like it seems like the terrorists are trying to do some movement where they're killing people, and this vigilante woman is. I guess she works with the cops, almost like Batman style, and because she's like casually talking to them in a bunch of scenes. So I don't know. It looks like Ozymandias got something crazy planned, and I mean, I'm interested. I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, when you title your show Watchmen and say it's based on the comic series, and in this we got to see the owl ship, so
yeah,
it's obviously connections to that universe. Like, I want to know what's going on.
right.
I have no clue what the show is.
Yeah, they show the owl ship. I forgot crashing at the end. I was like, oh. They're like, yeah, okay, that's some fan service right there.
So we're about a month away from it dropping. So it's gonna be an interesting fall because we got that coming out. I'll be back on the Walking Dead train. You'll be back in the CW train.
Yep.
And I will attempt to be back on the CW train, then fall off quickly after until a crisis happens. There's just a ton coming out, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's like all the TV hits at once, and it's really overwhelming.
Yeah.
But new news, we know that Amazon has kind of picked up the whole Image Comics stuff.
Especially Skybound.
Yeah, Skybound stuff. And Super Dinosaur has gotten an animated series picked up. Yes.
Yeah, so this is like some Canadian production studio picked it up and made it, and now Amazon's picking that up to release like worldwide.
That's amazing.
So the animation's kind of kooky, but I like Super Dinosaur. It was a fun series.
It's one of Kirkman's first.
It's not even. It's like way after Walking Dead came out.
Was it after Walking Dead?
Yeah, because I was picking up as it came out.
Yeah, Battle Pope was like his first. Battle Pope's weird.
And I like this one because this whole theory with it was at that point where Walking Dead like was hitting big and it was on TV, and he was just like, I wanted to make a comic that my son could read, so he made Super Dinosaur. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't care if I sell one copy, that one copy goes to him. He goes, I got money, I can print these. So I like the whole theory behind it and him doing it for his kid. Now he gets to show his kid an animated show that he kind of created. So
pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're the only one who used to collect these issues. Now they're going to be flying off the shelves.
Yeah, I actually have my first New York Comic Con I went to when Kirkman announced he's doing a science fiction series that never came out. Mm-hmm. I got him to sign my free comic book day origin issue of Super Dinosaur, so I have that.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's probably like, oh god, this thing's still out there. Movie news. Margot Robbie is developing new Tank Girl movies. Woohoo! Because that's what everybody wants. She's going to star in it, obviously, and then Miles... Oh, God, this is a very French name. Joris Parafit is signed on to direct. And I looked them up. They haven't done much besides some indie films, so... No real big name there.
I'm not a huge Tank Girl fan, but like I like that movie back in the day.
Right.
That's one of those things that I watched when I was younger, and then realized when I got older it's based on comics.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I'm not a huge Margot Robbie fan though, so I don't know. I don't know if she can pull that off.
I mean, it's almost like the characterization is almost like Harley Quinn.
It's Harley Quinn-esque.
Quinn-esque. It's not exact. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be like, I mean, it's almost like Mad Max style, like Borderlands setting. So
I never thought about that before. I wonder if Borderlands is based on Tank Girl, because that does make complete sense,
doesn't it? Yeah. I don't know what that. You wouldn't even call that. I don't know what that genre is called, but it's like not steampunk.
No, but it does make complete sense.
Steam junk or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Okay, so New Republic Pictures has picked up Image Comics Undiscovered Country for a film series. And it's not even, the first issue hasn't even come out yet. That's the Scott Snyder, Charles Soule are writing the script. But like the book isn't even out yet.
Yeah. And then nuts.
We always talk about that. There's like the writing the script. Well, I mean, if the comics, if they've already written the comic, the script's already started pretty much. Yeah, that's crazy that it's like film series 2 months before the comic's even out.
I'm kind of confused by it because not that it's not that I don't think it'll be successful or whatever, but like we don't even know what the book is and how much how much of it
out here.
Yeah, how much of it have they done? Like, I know comics are monthly, and it's not like you're making one month by month by month, but you know what? There may be, if they're ahead of schedule, the first volume in.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just thought of what. Okay, I think I know what it's about because we haven't heard any plot synopsis, right?
We have.
Oh, we have?
But go ahead. I want to hear your
okay.
plot
This
synopsis.
is just me going off the title for the film. It sounds like Undiscovered Country sounds like a Brokeback Mountain sequel. Brokeback Mountain 2, Undiscovered Country. See? I just thought of that. I don't know. That's what just popped in my head.
Okay, now astute fans will remember that Mike and I talked about this when it was announced.
Yeah. Yep. You heard it here first.
But I will remind you, Mike, that this is a book about 100 years in the past. About, I don't remember the exact timeline, but the United States decided to be isolationist and keep itself away from the rest of the world. And we are going to follow the group that for the first time is going to enter the United States after it's been isolated for an extreme amount of time. So it's a book about what isolation can do to a nation or to a people over time and put it in the scale of the modern age.
So it's like we're closing our borders. We talked about this, but and we thought, like, for me, I see a film like it. Obviously, it's not a Brokeback Mountain sequel, but I mean, it still could.
It could just be like real hillbilly Brokeback Mountain. But
I think what we're gonna end up seeing is like it's gonna end up being like a Walking Dead almost. You know what I mean? Like maybe a post-apocalyptic style, or like not even that, but more maybe like we haven't advanced as much as we should have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna be. Is I see, knowing these two guys from their interactions on Twitter and me just following both of their careers for a long time. Right. I know their political lens, and I feel like you're spot on. This whole book is going to be a book about why isolation isn't the answer in an age where we have legitimate talking points about isolationism. Mm-hmm. So I know what they're going for, and I think you're dead on. It's going to be, they get there, and it's not the powerhouse that we know the United States to be today. It's going to be a backwards country with a lot of problems. Depending on how far they go back in the timeline, like I could see there still being slavery involved and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So
I didn't even think about that.
The thing with doing a film series, though, is they could. I'm not saying they're going to follow the book beat for beat, and you're probably right. It's going to be like an Earth 2 thing, kind of like Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. But they get the first movie out. It takes them, like a year or two to get it done?
Yeah.
So by then, we're already a couple volumes in. Mm-hmm. And then by the time we get in production to the next movie, we're a couple more volumes. So I can see the comic being ahead enough where they can follow the story plot lines.
Yeah.
But I still just, I'm amazed. It literally was like, we have a new comic coming out. We'll pay you $1 million to make the movie.
I know. It's like they're trying to get ahead of the game. And it's like, we don't even care if it's garbage. Like, we're going to buy it.
I'll be interested to see if it actually comes out.
They're like, let's roll the dice.
What I'm excited about here is, though, two guys, two great writers. One works for Marvel, one works for DC.
Yeah.
Coming together to make this book, but also coming together to write the script. And I hope this works out and becomes good so that it shows these companies that these comic book writers can cross over and help them with their movie adaptations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to think so far. I mean, Scott Snyder, like, I've never read like American Vampire and stuff like that by him. But I mean, for what I have read, yeah, give him a movie.
Yeah, I'm not a vampire guy. I have actually been reading more vampire stuff recently than I ever have in my life. But and that's 2 comics, so take it for what it is. American Vampire is really good, though. It takes the lens of it, like the vampires we know throughout the ages. So the original Dracula, the new like the sparkly vampires aren't in it yet, but that idea. And all the different incarnations of vampire are just different species of vampire that originate in different countries.
Oh,
and this is the first vampire to ever originate in the United States, and it's an Old West gunslinger.
Oh,
we follow him throughout the ages. It's really interesting. Like you get to meet a vampire that's just a vampire cult that's just like mindless creatures that only come out at night and feed. Great book, definitely pick it up. That's awesome. Stephen King did help with the first volume.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that or not, but he is credited as a writer on the first volume.
Good for him. That's awesome. All right, we're gonna jump into the comic book news.
Comics.
Marvel's Avengers Iron Man announced for a December release. This is going to be the prequel to the Square Enix Marvel Avengers video game, written by Jim Zub, art by Paco Diaz. So I haven't really read up in the Marvel game that's coming out. I've seen the trailers and stuff. I know we've like looked at the character models, and some of them are kind of like unnerving because like you've been watching these characters for I don't know how 10 plus years on the big screen. And like to see the face completely change and like really good resolution. You're like, oh no, it looks like the stunt doubles of each character.
Yeah, you're dead on there. It looks like the stunt doubles of each character.
Yeah.
We're gonna, as we go through the news, Jim Zub's name pops up a lot. Good for him.
Yeah,
I like Jim Zub. But they did this with the Spider-Man PS4 game, and I personally didn't enjoy the one issue I read. So take that opinion for what it is. But yeah, when you start basing comics on another medium's version of your comic, like it tangles. Now there are exceptions to that, like Injustice: Gods Among Us. That was a great comic series, but I don't see myself purchasing this one.
Incoming #1 from Marvel in December is it's a murder mystery that's going to be the closing chapter to Marvel's 80th anniversary, which was that like 100-page book, right?
No, the entire year has been the 80th anniversary. They've had through-line stories going through.
Okay, and it's set up stories for 2020, so it's going to have a ton of writers like Al Ewing, Dan Slott, Chip Zdarsky, Saladin Ahmed, Jonathan Hickman, Donny Cates, Jason Aaron. So all the big hitters, almost every Marvel writer. So it almost sounds like it's going to be their reboot, right? Like you can get a taste of like where they're going for 2020, I guess. Each of these writers.
Yeah. Did you end up reading Marvel Comics 1000?
I'm like halfway through it. Yeah, I have it. I just haven't finished it yet.
Okay, I had a few theories coming out of Marvel Comics 1000. Obviously, we're getting Marvel Comics 1001 soon, but I felt like one of the theories was they want a Crisis on Infinite Earths this shit. So I almost wonder if 2020 is the build up to that.
That'd be cool if like you get like Jason Aaron writing a completely different character he wouldn't do on like another Earth. I think that would be cool. Like see everybody swap up heroes.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think this is more them setting the stage for everyone's books in 2020 because obviously Jason Aaron's going to be off Thor after 8 years of doing Thor. Al Ewing and what's going to be happening with Hulk and Donnie and Venom, what he's doing there, like so on and so forth. I really think this is going to kind of shake the whole Marvel Comics landscape and kind of just set it so that when we see what everyone's doing in 2020, it makes sense coming out of this. That says Marvel and they love their events, and I love them for it. So
and they're #1s. They're like, we could. What do we call this new one? I don't know. Incoming #1. Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Here's another one. They announced Revenge of the Cosmic Ghost Rider for December, written by Dennis Hallam and Donnie Cates, which is interesting. Donnie's like sharing the writing.
Yeah.
Right. And which is like, I didn't see Donnie's name at first, and then I was like, okay, I'm not too excited. But now that he's on it too, it's like, okay. And then art by Scott Hepburn and Jeff Shaw. So Jeff Shaw's on it as well.
Yeah.
But it's like two different writers and two different artists, right? So that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. But I do like Dennis Hallam, or as most people know him, Dennis Hopeless. He's trying to get away from that name now, but it's interesting. But at the same time, I feel like Cosmic Ghost Rider is kind of the new Deadpool at this point. Like, let's make as many Cosmic Ghost Rider books as possible.
Right. Yeah.
But I'll check it out because I love Donny Cates.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
The beautiful, beautiful Donny Cates.
Doctor Strange gets a new #1 in December. I think I'll be skipping. Well, I thought I'd be skipping it until I saw who's writing it. Doctor Strange, Surgeon Supreme, written by Mark Waid, and art by Kev Walker. They're like, who can we get to write this book that people will read it? Mark Waid, sure, why not? I want this to be like I want it to be like a House. Remember the House show? Like that's the type of like he's just an asshole doctor, asshole surgeon to people.
So, ready for this? Mark Waid's actually been writing Doctor Strange for well over 2 years.
Yeah, but like Surgeon Supreme isn't. No, but the funny part, I know he's Doctor Strange. I'm talking about why would anybody care about the surgeon part of Doctor Strange?
Oh,
right?
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, I want to see if I read a Doctor Strange book, I want him to do magic. I don't want him to do surgery. You know what I mean? It's like, why are they? Whatever. I'm sure.
What if he's doing magic surgery?
Oh my god! Like he runs like a magical ER and like Cyclops and like weird creatures come in. And he has to like operate on them.
Oh, that'd be actually.
Wait a second. I hope that's it.
Stop the podcast. We gotta call Marvel.
Yeah. Dude, can you imagine? Oh my god! Now I want this book. It's like paging Doctor Strange. We have there's a behemoth in OR #2. He like poked his eye. Like, which one? I don't know. Oh man, I hope so. But yeah, I'm actually gonna check that out because it's #1 and has Mark Waid's name on it. So
yeah.
Conan the Serpent Wars.
Speaking of comics, you're gonna check out.
Yeah, Conan Serpent Wars. No, Serpent Wars. It's going to be a team up with Conan. The comic event will team up Conan with Robert E. Howard, Solomon Kane, Moon Knight, and it's written by Jim Zub with art by Scott Eaton. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Moon Knight, Conan. Hello.
I've really been enjoying Conan recently. Like that's a sentence I never thought I'd say.
Yeah, all the books have been pretty good. Even like the Savage Conan, they're all pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, so I'm down to check it out. Like I said, I like Jim Zub. I said that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love Moon Knight. Like Moon Knight's such a cool character. I know he started off as like their answer to Batman, but he evolved past that, and I'm down, especially since like this is a Conan-based event in Marvel continuity. Like, sure, let's see how wacky we can get with this.
Yeah, I mean, why not throw Moon Knight in there? Chris is going to buy 2 issues now.
Both covers, so I can sell one. No.
Hell yeah. Speculator. All right, DC. This is the book. I am so excited when I saw this got announced. New Suicide Squad comic written by Tom Taylor and art by Bruno Redondo is the team behind Injustice. So, kind of setting the bar pretty high, right? But dude, if you were to ask me like what book would you like to see these guys go tackle, I mean, it sounds awesome. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, and I'm really happy because I've been waiting for somebody to give Tom Taylor that shot at like a marquee book.
Mm-hmm.
he's done a ton of characters, he's done a ton of comics, but he's never been like that top tier book guy. And I've always thought he was capable of it.
He might
read like maybe one Suicide Squad in my life. I'll be reading this to check it out because I love Tom Taylor.
Yeah, and I'm man, I'd be surprised. This might be one of the top 5 books coming out of DC. Like when December hits, I mean, this is probably going to sell quite a bit.
Yeah, I think people are really going to be surprised at how much they like Tom Taylor.
And speaking of guys who can't let things go, no, I'm just kidding.
Never let it go, Frank.
Frank never let go. Frank Miller returns once again, not twice, but a third or fourth time. I think it's the fourth time.
Fifth, if you want to count the other one shot.
Yeah. The Dark Knight Returns universe with Dark Knight, the Golden Child in December. It's going to be a one-shot story following the events of Dark Knight 3 and Master Race. So, yeah, it's on my poll list.
Yeah. The Superman, Wonder Woman, Jonathan Kent son. Like, yeah, of course I'm buying it. Wait, did you say Frank Miller and Dark Knight Returns? I'll take 2, please.
Yeah, please. Did they, who do they have on art? Did they announce that?
They did. I'm surprised they wrote it down.
Andy Kubert, hopefully? Because he did he helped out with Master Race, right? They traded on and off.
Go ahead and move on. I will get to you when I figure it out. Okay.
And now we're getting a villain-centric anthology coming December called New Year's Evil. I don't know. It's a little on the nose, I think. Yeah, so apparently we're getting a New Year's event book. And I can't help to think that this is going to tie up the Year of the Villain. Because, Year of the Villain probably leads up to New Year's Evil, if I had to guess. They both revolve around the year and deal with villains.
Well, Mike, if you read further into the notes, you'll see that you were completely wrong.
Well,
I'm sure it ties in somewhere because this is the whole Year of the Villain thing, and we got to do more villain stuff, but yeah. So,
back to it. James Tynion IV and artist Steve Epting team up to bring up the Year of the Villain Hell Arisen this December. And this is actually the event that I was just talking about. This is going to be a culmination of all villains. The Year of the Villains, it's going to put the Batman Who Laughs against Apex Lex Luthor. This is like a celebrity death match to me. And all the events are leading to your last 2 contenders. Yeah, I wonder who wins in that fight. Apex Lex Luthor, that we know who's absorbed Martian Manhunter to become the Apex Predator. And then the Batman Who Laughs, the alternate dimension Batman from the Dark Universe. It's like, this can't get any more comic book science.
If DC does not make a Fight Night poster of this, they just give up. Just stop making comics because that's the only reason to do this.
Let's get ready to roll.
In the green corner, Apex Lex Luthor.
It's like, who do you even want to win this fight? I don't even know.
It's we've everyone who listens knows that I've had my issues with James Tynion.
Yeah,
his writing, that is, not the person. I'm sure he's a lovely human being.
Right.
But I'm down for this. I mean, he's been doing on Justice League alongside Scott, outside of that one arc that we don't talk about,
right.
Has been really great. So I'm willing to give him another chance on a solo book, especially since it's kind of wrapping up everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I've been reading. I'll talk about it later, but those Year of the Villain one shots have been a lot of fun too.
Also, I'm going to cut in. Mm-hmm. Dark Knight Returns Golden Child will be published as a single 48-page comic under DC's Black Label imprint. Miller is writing the story, and I'm going to butcher this name, but Raphael Grampa. It is spelled Grampa with that little thing over top that us Americans don't use.
An accent, that's called.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I know what he's drawn. But.
And it says, Raphael returning to the comic for the first time in over half a decade to draw an issue.
Wow.
So I think he might have been the artist for DK2.
Okay, that makes sense. Wow. Really? digging deep for this one. Awesome. So now we're getting writer Zoe Quinn and artist Tyler Kirkham to bring back the Infected Deathbringer this December. It's going to give us an infected Donna Troy, so that's pretty cool. We're getting all these infected books. I think an infected Donna Troy is probably pretty terrifying because she's got like the powers of Wonder Woman. So to have a pissed off like Wonder Woman running around punching people is probably not good. Writer Paul Jenkins and artist Jack Herbert bringing the Infected, the Commissioner. This December, give us an infected Jim Gordon. I don't know how I feel about that, but
so the Donna Troy one I could care less about.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big Wonder Woman fan.
Right.
And she has no real meaning to me. The Jim Gordon one, on the other hand, that sounds fantastic.
What is he going to do? Jim Gordon's main job is to hit that, signal in the sky and call Batman. So,
yeah, but this is. Did you read the Batman Who Laughs miniseries?
No, I didn't read that.
Okay, so, quick retelling of Batman Who Laughs issues 1 through 7 of 6 issues, and the one shot, The Grim Knight. So, the Batman Who Laughs is trying to infect Batman to become another Batman Who Laughs, turning him slowly insane throughout time, and losing in the end. In the middle of that, we're introduced to the Grim Knight, who is a Batman who uses guns. His universe is the best universe ever because it's basically what's happening in Batman right now, except not. So it's him going around killing people, but all the villains are in places of power in Gotham. So Two-Face is the commissioner, the Riddler's the mayor, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. He has a grudge with Jim Gordon, so he wants to kill Jim Gordon. So he entraps Jim Gordon and injects him with the Joker serum. Cool. Jim Gordon's able to fight it, blah, blah, blah. Story's end, we get to Batman, Superman. So this is how Jim being able to fight it in the Batman Who Laughs series, now it's taking him over, and he joins the team. I'll be interested to see what they do with him, but I love that idea of Jim Gordon doing it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Another jump in here. Rafael Grandpa has not done anything in 10 years, so that is why they're saying in over 10 years. The last thing he did was Batman Black and White Volume 2, Number 2. Other than that, he has never done a DK book, so this will be his first time doing a DK book. He's done assorted stuff with Brian Azzarello and a ton of covers. Sorry, I want to correct myself as I go.
Yeah. So basically, he hasn't done really a whole lot.
No, he's been going for since the early 2000s, and it seems like he dropped off. Maybe just became a cover artist, and now he's doing sequentials again. So
cool. And then the last thing for DC is Black Label is going to publish a Wonder Woman Dead Earth book in this December, which sounds pretty awesome. Daniel Warren Johnson is writing it, and it's going to feature a post-apocalyptic Earth, which is, hell yeah, pretty awesome.
I like what they're doing over at Black Label. This one personally doesn't attract me, but I like what they're doing at Black Label. Cool stuff, alternate. It's basically an Elseworlds label. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. And then we get Boom Studios announces the return of Klaus with Klaus and the Life of Times of Joe Christmas. It's an oversized one-shot by Grant Morrison with art by Dan Mora. I love Klaus. And, or Klaus. I think it's Klaus. I don't know. And I think they did a one-shot last year, too. So it sounds like I think every, December or so, they're going to do a one-shot with Klaus with Grant Morrison. It's a pretty cool story. And the art, Dan Mora's art, is just really good.
It's a series I've always wanted to read, just never got
it. Never read it? Oh, it's so good. And, it's Grant Morrison, so it deals with, demons and aliens, and he can't just be regular old Santa Claus,
It's almost like Grant Morrison did a ton of psychedelic drugs in the 90s.
Yeah, to make him only think about aliens all the time. Oh, man. Anyways, read some comics this week, so I guess we'll talk about that.
You read comics?
Wow! Who would have thought?
Nerd.
I know. Okay, let me just talk about Batman 78. Get this one out of the way. So Bruce Wayne has a mustache.
Issue sold. Where can I buy one?
Yeah, local comic shop. Yeah, so I mean, Batman and Catwoman are on a beach somewhere in a resort, and first off, you look at the cover of Batman and Catwoman. I don't think Catwoman can stretch like that. Like the way it's drawn, her hip is like in front of her. It's like the most crazy posed, like drawn body I've ever seen in my entire life. Anyways, so Batman and Catwoman are on the beach, and I think they need to be there for something's going to arrive at that beach to stop Bane. So they're like waiting there, and as they're waiting there, like Batman's recovering. How is Batman recovering? I don't know. He's just following Catwoman around, like climbing rocks on the beach and stuff, and like throughout the whole issue, they're like, "Oh, kiss me." No, I don't want to kiss you anymore. I was like, "Oh, kiss me." And then finally, at the end of the issue, they kiss each other. So that was pretty much the issue.
So, I've obviously been doing this other podcast about Batman animated series,
right?
And following Tom Kane on Twitter. I know that he's also a huge fan of that series. Mm-hmm. I feel like he just binged the series before making this comic, because as I get through Batman animated series more, I start to see where he takes the thread lines from that series and do them in the comic.
Okay.
Like there's I just got done watching an entire episode where the Mad Hatter puts Batman under a dream spell where he's in a different world and thinks that he's no longer Batman. He's just Bruce Wayne. His parents are alive, and he's to marry Selena Kyle. And like
sounds
all
familiar.
These different things, and obviously like he's bringing Phantasm into the comic world now.
Yeah,
but like it's just interesting as I watch, like, because we constantly talk about how the director of the Dark Knight series was a huge fan of the series, and he kind of took ideas from it. I'm starting to see how Tom King is as well, and it's just making me laugh as I hear you talk about it.
Yeah, so my Batman book was Batman and Catwoman on on a beach together. So
also, it makes me happy to watch how sad you are over Batman, because it makes me feel better about how bad Captain America is right now.
Yeah. We're both struggling right now, man. Please release the next Shazam already. Like, give me something to read.
No, Jeff Johns can't write it. That's right, DC fans. Burn.
Yeah, he can't. So, Year of the Villain, Riddler. This book was probably one of the best I've read this week. Mark Russell doing another Year of the Villain book.
Oh, damn.
Dude, yeah. And it's right up our alley, Chris, because the beginning of the issue, it's Riddler and King Tut like talking at a diner about why they can't catch Batman, and like Riddler comes up with the idea is like, maybe it's the gimmicks, like the joke, like you're the King Tut thing, and like I'm the Riddler guy. And he's like, don't ever say that, don't you ever say that again. Like, and so basically like the Riddler is kind of depressed because Lex Luthor's going around helping all the other villains except him. He's like, why doesn't he like me? Like, does he not think I'm a good villain? And Lex Luthor kind of gets him to realize that he needs to like abandon trying to just trump over Batman. Like, you need to move on to bigger things. And so like he promises that he's like, their idea to like stop Batman is like, oh, we've I've had only riddles and you've had like traps that you set up. He's like, why don't we just do riddles and traps together, like team up? And he like, so stupid. He goes to the King Tut's house, and King Tut's house is like in a sequence of like, regular suburban homes, and his is shaped like a King Tut head. It's all gold.
That's fantastic.
Dude, it's so good. Yeah, so it's another fun issue, dude. Mark Russell's killing it, man. He's just having so much fun with these Year of the Villain one-shots. And I mean, King Tut, dude, like we haven't seen him in forever, so that was a really good issue. I think I haven't really been disappointed with any of the Year of the Villain stuff. It's been a lot of fun. Leviathan #4. Did you read that?
I did.
We got like Superman recapping what happened with his confrontation in front of Amanda Waller. Like he, shows up to her rescue, and he says that Leviathan uses some sort of temporal energy to stop him. Don't really know. So like maybe some time travel stuff. I don't know. I really have no clue who Leviathan is. I don't know if you do. Maybe.
No, I stand by. I'm gonna die on this hill because I have no clue either. But my only guess is that it's something Legion related.
Yeah, and temporal energy, right? So now we're,
I just don't know the Legion well enough,
right,
to say the exact villain. I just feel like this is a Legion villain coming to the past to try to stop the Legion in the future. And it's Brian Michael Bendis, so he wants to do a bunch of Legion stuff. So I'm probably way off, but that's my only thought.
It's probably all going to connect. That's probably why they had to kill off Saturn Girl in Doomsday Clock, because Bendis is like, dude, you can't use her. Like, I'm already using Legion for Leviathan. Like, really, dude? You have all these characters. Leviathan's going to be a Legionnaire or a Legion villain. But I think that'd be interesting because that would make sense why we know how Leviathan is just taking everybody down and putting all the setting up all the puzzle pieces to work in their favor almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole realization where Robin and all the the Batman-esque heroes Green Arrow and stuff are standing around wait, you were attacked, and so why were you singled out? And they're like, oh, maybe you were singled out because then they knew we'd all assemble and start arguing of the reason they attacked you and all this stuff. It was he's 10 steps ahead of everybody pretty much, even Superman.
Yeah, the only thing I could do without, and I'm speaking to you, Bendis, because I know you're listening. The only thing I could do without is the 3 pages in every issue of no, it's this guy, no, it's this guy, no, it's this guy.
Yeah, with the computers in the background and stuff. It's that's a filler. Yeah. It's a filler page every issue.
Yeah, but other than that, I am really enjoying it, and I liked that they kind of took Waller off the board. In terms of her being Leviathan.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Wonder Twins. Did you read that this week?
Oh, yeah.
That was a pretty cool issue. We get the aftermath of taking down the Scrambler. And we get a pretty new, awesome. I guess he's not even he's not a shitty villain. He'd be a shitty hero, I guess.
Yeah.
What is it? The Recluser, right?
The Repulsor.
Repulsor. Yeah, so we see the 2 Wonder Twins have been put on another assignment because there really isn't anything going on. And this is a totally, it's pretty cool how this works out because they become tour guides for the the Hall of Justice. And as they're doing that, they're letting people around the Hall of Justice. The Justice League gets a call a meteor is going to destroy Earth, and so it catches wind of the public, and the public, they tweet about it, and within seconds, it's Lex Luthor's talking about it on the news, and there's complete chaos in the world, and they're Superman comes back, and he's you abandoned the public's you abandoned us, and they're well, I mean, we have to go off world to take care of an asteroid, we can't just stay here. And they're well, why did you tell us about these threats? And it's look around, you trash the whole city because they're rioting and stuff. But earlier in the issue, we get a glimpse of Repulsor. And he's just, it's kind of depressing, right? He's this very stinky hero. His metagene is that he's unbearably stinky, and he's just he's kept by the government at this off-site air bunker playing a board game with himself. It's really sad. And the army guys come to get him. He's you guys are my best friends. And they just lower him with a helicopter, swing him above people. It's so messed up, dude. They're oh, this is the idea behind it is he stinks so bad that the crowd is just going to dissipate. And they're the funny, oh my god, the like the dark humor was like people like tossing bottles and like garbage and stuff like this poor dude.
My two favorite parts of the book are on the opposite ends of the spectrum. The one was when they came to him the second day during the rioting, and he's just like, "Oh, twice in 2 days, man, this is great."
Yeah, I know. I was like, "Oh my god, this poor guy."
But then I love the ending. So the Wonder Twins are like looking at different species of animals and everything, and they find an ant that can't smell, and obviously it's going to come back to play later on. So, Zana, or whatever her name is, she ends up at the end of the book turning into this ant to go and visit Repulsor and play board games with them, which I thought was a really sweet moment in the book.
Yeah, that was a cool ending.
Yeah.
I
did really enjoy the like, why didn't you tell us when this is happening? He's like, because he's like, this happens way more than you think it does, guys.
Yeah. It's like there's probably an asteroid every week.
Look around you, and it's just like destroyed city.
Yeah, the city's in flames. Like, oh yeah, good point. And then I read Unearth number 3 by Cullen Bunn, the Image comic. And we're getting a little more into like the backstory of the main doctor who's part of the team that's Unearthed, is like the horror book of they're going into these caverns trying to find the source of an infection. They find these weird parasites and monsters and stuff. We get a little more background of the character. Like the main doctor, I think, had a daughter who passed away, so she's dealing with like some of the issues with that, and like I don't know if she's seeing her daughter and some of the people they meet. And meanwhile, like the group is split up. One of the group is infected by this like parasite it's just tearing through and like separating the group. And it makes them like hallucinate too, and they almost like worship this parasite thing. So more is going to be revealed, but it's right now the story is kind of unfolding, but it's pretty disturbing when like the people get infected because they turn like these red blobs. So like parts of their bodies are all like ballooned out and stuff. It's pretty nasty. So like right now everybody's in the cavern and there's like the army base sitting outside like in the desert, and they're actually being like charged at by a bunch of these monsters. They're going to try to take out their like excavation site. So yeah, it's getting pretty good, and it's really kind of disturbing and gross. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But that's all I had this week, Chris.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer Black number 4.
Oh, I had to read that still. Yep.
So a lot of this issue deals with Silver Surfer deciding whether or not to kill Galactus and what it would mean to kill Galactus. And then in the best way possible, Owada shows up, the Watcher, and is like, you can't kill him. And Silver Surfer's like, aren't you a Watcher? Like, you're not supposed to mess around with things.
Yeah, you can't intervene, right? Yeah.
And at the end, he finds out that there's a balance that he is a part of, and he has to be around to keep that balance. So it's a very interesting issue, and I'm interested to see where it ends up, because now the end of the book, they hint very heavily that Null is going to be in the next issue. King Thor number 1. This is the last Thor book that Jason Aaron's doing, 4-issue series. This is dealing with Thor and what he does at the end of the world, or at the end of the universe, actually. When Loki shows up and has taken control of the Necro Sword, and his entire mission is to kill Thor. It was a really great book. It was great to see Saab Ribic back on the book with Jason Aaron, because he did the original run God of Thunder with him. And then we get the return of an old villain, the God Butcher. I absolutely love this book. Don't pick it up unless you've been reading Thor, because
it's very Thor heavy.
It's very like everything Jason Aaron's done for, like I said, 8 years, packed into this and kind of tidying up that last story arc.
Cool.
Powers of X number 4. Yes, 4. This is them introducing us to Mr. Sinister and what he's doing. I know, like I said, I know very little about X-Men, so some of this is coming as a shock to me, but where they are in the timeline, Mr. Sinister has cloned himself like a billion times, so he has a whole like town of himself running around. And Xavier's come to him to have him collect all the different genes of every mutant that's ever born, so that there's kind of a backup drive of them all. And then he wipes his brain, so he doesn't remember why he's doing it. He just knows he's doing it. So obviously Xavier has a plan. And then we get to the end of the universe where this machine thing has come to take over the collective consciousness of the entire world, because at the end of time in this timeline, humans are combining with machines so that they can defeat mutants, and that Nimrod's taken over. It's fucking confusing, but it's Jonathan Hickman, and I'm interested to see where it goes. But when the last two issues, I started to figure out what was going on, and I was like, okay, the story's moving. Then this issue, I'm just like, okay, we're back to setting things up for 2 years from now.
Now I have more questions. Classic Hickman. So,
Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 2 or number 250, whichever one you want to choose. So we had this story arc with Miles where he was being tortured by this person who's trying to figure out what made Spider-Man tick and how he got his powers and all this. And so he's taking some time off. And this issue takes place on his birthday. So he goes to meet up with his parents and his friend, and they're going to have a birthday party. And then Peter Parker storms in as Spider-Man and says, hey, there's a thing happening over here, but it's in Brooklyn. So, Brooklyn's your problem. Suit up and go. So Spider-Man's like, okay.
I guess.
Miles gets in the suit, goes and runs. Ends up finding out it's Green Goblin from the Ultimate Universe. Now, throughout this story arc, too, you need to remember that Miles has been having dreams about the Ultimate Universe and kind of remembering that it existed, but not being able to capture what it was. So when he gets there, he sees Green Goblin from that universe and says, I know you, I just don't know where I know you from. Who are you again? And they fight. He ends up figuring out, going oh, you're the Green Goblin. And in that moment, Ultimatum shows up. And longtime Ultimate Comics fans know who Ultimatum is. But he shows up and looks at Miles, starts to fight him, and then goes, you're from the Ultimate Universe. Green Goblin, we gotta go. And takes off. So there's something Ultimate Universe happening here. And this being the 250th issue of Miles Morales as Spider-Man, they wanted to really bring back that Ultimate Universe flair. And I see what they're doing with it. The big spoiler here is that when Ultimatum leaves, he goes to meet up with Kingpin and has a conversation with them. We end up finding out that he is actually the Miles Morales from Earth 616, who back in Spider-Man number 2 left this universe for another one. Super confusing comic book stuff, but we get a character back that longtime Miles Morales fans have been waiting to see what they're going to do with them, and here it is. It was a really great issue. As is the case with most of the books I read this week, if you haven't been reading Miles for a while, you're probably going to be super confused. But I liked it, and that's all I care about. Just kidding, everybody.
I just care about me.
Speaking of Tom Taylor, Star Wars Age of Resistance Supreme Leader Snoke. Another one of these one-shots. This issue is all about Snoke training Kylo in the early days before Episode 7. So he takes him to Dagobah and takes him to where Luke and Yoda trained together during Empire.
Oh, that's cool.
Takes him through kind of the same idea that Yoda went through, and takes him to the cave that Luke ended up fighting, quote-unquote, Darth Vader in Empire. This issue raised more questions than answers, because now we know there's a connection between Snoke and the original Empire. Yeah. Because he knows everything that Luke did, and he knows how he was trained. So I'm just even more confused on who Snoke is and what he means to the overall Star Wars mythos.
That's so crazy.
But I really liked it. It was more of a Kylo story for me, because it was Kylo going into the cave. Kylo fights a vision of Luke Skywalker, and then ends up fighting a vision of his parents and destroying the cave.
Oh, damn.
good issue, but like I said, I really just want more of an explanation on Snoke.
Who the hell is this guy? Why does he know about Dagobah?
And I get a feeling by not doing something like that in this, that we're going to get more of an answer during Rise of the Skywalker.
Yeah, I would hope so.
My last issue was, actually my second to last, Black Hammer Justice League number 3. This is like a huge interrogation. The Justice League is interrogating the Black Hammer universe characters, trying to figure out who they are and what they did with the Justice League. While that's going on, Bruce Wayne's fiddling around with things. Cyborg shows up and says, how can I help you? And he says, you can't. There's nothing we can do. Like, I keep fiddling with things and nothing's working. And so he gets into it. He sees this is what you did wrong and starts digging through parts. He finds Walkie-Talkie. Ends up interfacing with him. That's the end of that story. We'll find out more next issue. But then we get Colonel Weird in the Parazone with Jon Stewart. Mm-hmm. And there's a fraction of time that's missing. And it's the fraction where that stranger showed up on issue 1 and switched the two. Mm-hmm. And in that fractures, it sends them to another part of the Parazone where they see when the Justice League first gets to the farm, mm-hmm. and they see what happens to the Flash. Because if you remember, we haven't seen the Flash the entire series except for the beginning of issue 1.
Right.
Well, the Flash attempts to run out of the farm. And so they think they're going to watch the Flash die because that's what happened to Black Hammer when he tried to leave the farm. But what really happens is he ends up breaking through the space-time barrier into the Parazone, meeting up with Colonel Weird, Jon Stewart, and transporting them to somewhere they have no clue where it is.
Damn.
And then the third story arc here is the Black Hammer characters being imprisoned, trying to figure out what to do. Well, Gale, the Shazam character, she ends up meeting up with Zatanna.
Oh.
And finds a way to transform into her normal self.
That's pretty cool.
Really cool issue. I think this has been a really interesting series. The first issue was very straightforward, mm-hmm. and the second and third have really gotten more in depth into these characters. It's really great for people like you and me who have read Black Hammer and Justice League throughout the years. Mm-hmm. Really like it. And then my last book was Second Coming number 3. I won't go too much into it because it comes out this Wednesday. So everybody going out, make sure you check it out. It is a really great issue. It digs into the idea of Sunstar? He wants to go out and fight crime, and Jesus is telling him, all you're doing is fighting violence with violence. You're just creating a cycle. That's why you're constantly doing what you're doing. And he does this through, they find a kid who sent in a ransom note, wants to become a supervillain. Well, he's 18 years old. Mm-hmm. So Jesus do you really think that by beating him up and sending him to jail, you're going to do anything? And they find an alternate way to take care of it. And through all that, a few things happen that I don't want to spoil. And there's a great moment in there in the middle of the book where Jesus is separated from Sunstar and runs into first he runs into Satan, has a conversation about what's going on with God. Mm-hmm. But then the interesting part is he runs into a pack of people outside of a gay bar that are basically like those, what was that church that was picketing people?
Westboro Baptist.
Yes, basically Westboro Baptist, fill-in. Mm-hmm. They had the God Hates Fag signs and everything like that. And how their interaction with Jesus mm-hmm. and what happens there. It's a really great issue. I think it's been the best issue so far, the 3, and I recommend everybody pick it up.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that they had those people meet up.
Yeah. I like where the story's going, and I like the justification of bringing Satan into the story and what he tells Jesus mm-hmm. and what God has planned for this whole thing. I don't think it's going to shock a whole lot of people, but I do think it's an interesting plot device. So
it's cool.
Mike, that's everything. So, where can people find you on the interwebs that Al Gore invented in '89?
Our glorious, God Emperor Al Gore. Thank you for the internet. Find me at Fortress Stricker on Twitter. Where can they find you?
They can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter or the show at FC_official, as well as FortressCommonNews.com. Remember, everybody, all the 5-star review stuff, like, subscribe, share, do that. And thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Keep your ears and your eyes open, because Mike and I have secret plans.
Secret stuff. Can't tell you yet.
But they're secret. Yeah. So go to patreon.com/FortressComicNews and you'll know more about the secrets. Soon. Eventually. Maybe.
Secret.
Agent Man.
Secret. Agent.
All right. Bye, everybody.